Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is yet another vlog. I haven't done one of these in a while, and to be honest, the reason for that is I just haven't had a lot of free time. I am starting to get a lot more work because I am now working two jobs, and as a result, I don't really have as much free time as I did previously. And when I do, I just want to chill and just want to relax and kind of recuperate and get ready for the next uh, day. And at the moment, I'm also in the middle of a adjustment period in terms of adjusting my mind and my body to the new schedule and to a heavier workload. And I think once I get past that point, I think things will run a little more smoothly. That being said, it's not like the work itself has really been that tough. It's really just been the longer hours and working more. It's not the content, it's not what I'm doing that's been at all difficult. I mean, the current job that I've had for a long time now, I can pretty much do at this point in my sleep. And the new job that I got, I am picking up things really quickly. And to be honest, I really like it. I really like the new job. I love the environment, and it's a fun place to work. And so far, I can definitely say that it gets a high recommendation from me. And it helps that both of these jobs are very similar in terms of they are both retail jobs, so it's not really that much of a crazy adjustment from one job to the next. That being said, that's why you haven't seen as much content on YouTube uh, as previously, because I just don't have as much time. That being said, I'm still going to make time for YouTube because I enjoy doing it. And I know there are those of you that enjoy watching what I do. And for those of you who are subscribers of mine, old and new, I want to give a very special thanks to you for supporting me over the years. Whether you have left a nice comment, whether you've pressed like on a video, whether you have sent me something in the mail, or whether you have donated to my PayPal. Every single one of those things means an equal amount to me, and I really appreciate it. So, anyway, let's get into the bulk of the vlog. Let's start with the update. I got a decent little stack here of DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Nothing too crazy compared to other vlogs, but there's still some nice titles here that I want to show you, and I got some good deals. So the first DVD I'm going to start out with is Henry 2, Portrait of a Serial Killer. This is a sequel that pretty much nobody talks about. It's been forgotten about. Uh, I've never seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never seen the film. It's got some decent reviews. It looks like it definitely has some semblance of talent behind it in terms of the director, and the cast here. And it looks like an intriguing film, and I got it for pretty cheap. And I really like Henry, so it'll be an interesting film to check out one of these days. Then I also got Brightburn. Now this is one that I got for free because I got it as a trade-in. Uh, Heard some interesting things about this one, and on top of that, I was very curious about this because of the script, and I just haven't had the chance to see it yet. Then we have something fun. It's a Zorro animated series triple feature. Now, that's kind of misleading because it's not really a triple feature. It just has 6 episodes of this Zorro animated series that was on WB Kids in the late 90s that apparently features the voice of Michael Gough as Zorro. Yeah, that Michael Gough, who was Alfred in Batman 1989 and all the way to Batman and Robin, which I find really interesting. Uh, I'm a fan of Zorro, so I thought it would be a fun little thing to pick up. Plus, it didn't cost me anything. It was another trade-in. So was this. Here's Looking at You, Warner Brothers. This is a history of Warner Brothers Studios, and it looks pretty interesting. It's got different sections that are narrated by different actors and directors. Like you have Clint Eastwood, Barbara Streisand, Goldie Hawn, Steven Spielberg, and Chevy Chase. And I enjoy documentaries about films and film studios, so that looked like it was definitely worth something and definitely worth my time. Then we have Lamora, Child's Tale of the Supernatural. This is a film I've heard a lot of things about. This is a movie that was featured on Fangoria's 101 Most Unheralded Horror Films list, and got this from a Synapse sale on MBD. And I also picked up Night of Death, which is another Synapse horror film. This is a foreign horror movie. I think it's a French horror film from 1980. So I got it for the horror films of the 80s collection. The rest of these are all trade-ins. Encounter with Liam Hemsworth. The Mule with Clint Eastwood. Into the Grisly Maze with James Marsden, Thomas Jane, Piper Perabo, and Billy Bob Thornton. That's a really good cast. And then I got Annihilation with Natalie Portman. So that's it for the DVDs. Now we get to the 4K section. So these are all 4Ks that I got either from a guy on Facebook or a guy on Facebook Marketplace. So there's a couple differences because there's a guy that I know on Facebook from a Facebook group that I bought stuff from the past. So I got some stuff from him, and then I also got some 4Ks from another guy who was local. So here we have Howard the Duck. I still can't believe I'm holding in my hands a 4K Blu-ray of Howard the Duck. Is a 4K disc of Howard the Duck. I never thought that would ever happen, but you know what? I'm happy that it did because I checked this transfer out and it's absolutely fantastic. If you are remotely even a fan of this movie, you should definitely pick this up if you have a 4K player because it is an upgrade over the traditional Blu-ray for sure. And I have the 101 Films Blu-ray, the limited edition set, and I'm gonna keep that because it's a pretty cool looking set and it has some exclusive features. But this is the version. This is the version of the film I'll probably turn to rewatch over that one because that one's region locked. I still like this movie. It's not perfect. I don't love it as much as I used to, but I still like the film, and I can't sit here and say that I don't. I flipped through a couple scenes, and I was having some fun, so I'm looking forward to actually watching that in 4K sometime. Uh, Got another 4K title here, Monster Hunter. Video game movie, never played the game, but the trailer looked like it might be some fun, and I got a good deal on it. So Monster Hunter. Here we have the Star Trek reboot on 4K. And then we have Star Trek Into Darkness, which I actually remember liking. Haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember liking the film. And did not have it on 4K, and I got a good deal on those. They only cost me like, yeah, $6 each, which is a really good deal for 4K discs. And then I got this. The Harry Potter 8 film collection in 4K. Now, yes, the version that I did get is the official version that comes with the Blu-ray and slipcover, but I don't really need it to take up the space because I don't need the Blu-rays, and I really don't need them, and it takes up a ton of space already, and I don't have as much space, so I just went with just holding on to this one. The cover art is crap, to be honest, but these transfers are really good, and I only had them on Blu-ray, and unfortunately, though, they do not port over the features from the Blu-ray, so that sucks. But that's the 4Ks. Now we're gonna get to the Blu-rays. Let's start with a combo of Synapse, Scream Factory, and Severin. So here we have Grizzly from Severin with the slipcover. Although I have a bone to pick as I drop the Blu-ray. Sorry, like I said, I'm in that middle. I am in that middle. I am in the middle of that recuperating phase. So forgive me for my flubs and my fumbles. But anyway, I have a bone to pick with Severin for their slipcovers because this is way too tight. I mean, look at this. You should be able to just slip this out easily, and I have to put some significant effort into getting this thing out. That's not how it should be. That being said, the release for Retribution is even worse, and it's so bad that I don't even have the slipcover on it because I can't even put it on without tearing it or significantly damaging it. So here's Grizzly, one of the better Jaws rip-offs from the 70s. Only had the DVD, and this has a new remaster and some features and stuff, so decided to pick that up. Then here's the Scream Factory release, The Dead Zone, the collector's edition. I actually really like this cover art. I think it's really cool. And not much in terms of new features, to be honest. I think it's only getting the collector's edition name because of the fact that it's a Stephen King film, and it's a pretty well-liked movie. The only new thing is an interview with Brooke Adams and an audio commentary with the DP, Mark Irwin. All the other features are just legacy features from the other release on DVD, but the reason to get this is for the new scan, which is better than the other scan that's been floating around. So that's the Dead Zone. Then we have Hot Dog the Movie from Synapse. Never thought that this was ever going to get some feature-laden special edition with a 4K restoration, but here we are. I mean, it has a 50-minute making of documentary on it, and as well as a commentary with the writer, and like I said, a new 4K restoration of the film, and it's the unrated producer's cut, and not the theatrical version. Then we have a Bruce Campbell movie, Running Time. Saw the trailer for this and it looked interesting. And this has a new 2K scan, plus some extra features and stuff like that. Then we have, speaking of Stephen King, a documentary on Pet Sematary from 1989, Unearthed and Untold. I've been wanting to add this to my collection for a while, but when I was planning on doing it, it was kind of, I think it was like temporarily out of print or something on Amazon, so the prices were crazy. But I got a pretty good deal on this from the Synapse sale on NBD. And the rest of the ones here are from Severin. Their new release of Raiders of Atlantis, which looks like a batshit crazy insane movie from, looks like it was directed by Roger Franklin, which I think is is a name is a pseudonym for Ruggero Deodato. And then we've got Enigma, Lucio Fulci's swan song for 80s horror. And then we have Retribution, which looks like a crazy fucking movie with like an insane amount of practical effects, and it looks like a potential real gem. And this is an absolutely feature-laden, just jam-packed release from Severin. And the slipcover, though, you can't even get it on. It's tighter than a fucking condom. So I just have it separately because I'm not even going to bother with it at the moment because it's just too much of a pain in the ass. So that's Retribution The rest of these are just regular Blu-rays, except for this steelbook that I got of Boys in the Hood. Uh, this was a recent request. I actually did watch it, and I liked it. I'll be reviewing this sometime in the near future. Then we have a Blu-ray of Nobody. Really want to check this out sometime. I like the trailer, and looked like it might be fun. Nobody. Then we have The Martian with Matt Damon. Then we have Natural Born Killers, the director's cut. Got a really good deal on this from a local Facebook seller. It was an older guy. I actually met him to pick up the Blu-rays at the mall, and I only paid $17 for this and the Star Trek 4K, so it was a good deal. And this is out of print, so getting this for like $5 was a steal. So Natural Born Killers. Then we have Shaft movies. So we've got Shaft, Shaft's Big Score, Shaft in Africa, the Warner Archive Collection, triple feature. We've got the reboot from 2001, I think, or the late, or yeah, 2000. That's what it is. From 2000 with Sam Jackson. And then we have, confusingly, the sequel or reboots from recently, from a couple years ago. I think Shaft, that also has Sam Jackson and Richard Roundtree, who has a cameo in this. So it's fucking confusing. This Shaft franchise, like, at least the Shaft sequels for the original films featuring Richard Roundtree, at least they had subtitles. At least it wasn't anything that you couldn't really figure out. This is just confusing as fuck, and there's no reason for it. I don't know why they're both called Shaft, but it is what it is. And then we've got Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Jason Scott Lee. And then the double feature of Hotel Inferno 1 and 2. These are some crazy, gory, POV horror films. To be honest, they're the closest you're going to get to an actual Doom horror movie that's closer to the actual video game. So I know those are Hotel Inferno 3, but I might get that sometime. But that's it for the DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Now we get to the portion of the vlog where I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on some movie trailers. And there's been a lot that have come out lately. So I'm going to actually start with the most recent that I've seen and then go backwards. So the most recent trailer that I saw was for a film called Kate featuring Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And it looks like it might be an enjoyable action movie, but something about it just seemed a little off to me. I think it might have been the directing or the editing, some of the CGI. Like, why does the car that she's driving have to be pretty much entirely CGI? You're telling me you can't have a pink car with pink lights and drive it around a city? Why does it have to be completely CG? Also, I do not like her sidekick, this teenage girl. She just seems like she's gonna be annoying as hell. Um, that being said, I do like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I thought she was great in Birds of Prey as Huntress, so it's cool to see her in a action role. I find that kind of cool that Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who played John McClane's daughter, Lucy McClane, is now following in Bruce Willis's footsteps and being the lead in her own action film. Then we have Venom, Let There Be Carnage. More like Venom, Let There Be Cringe. I mean, the first trailer sucked. This one wasn't much better, with the same really forced and unfunny humor. I don't know why people think that's funny, but to each their own. Comedy is subjective. But to me, it's about as funny as a dump truck rolling over my dick. I don't like that style of humor at all. And the only reason why it seems like it will be worth at least one watch for me is for Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, because it does seem like he's having some fun. That being said, it does. It looks like cringe. The CGI looks like shit, and the action doesn't look like anything. It seems like it's gonna be a Carnage film that is PG-13, which I'm like, how the fuck is that even possible? Even the comics featuring Carnage had tons of blood. So yeah, it's one of those things where it does look pretty bad, to be perfectly honest. I mean, at this point, I'd rather watch something like House of Gucci over Venom Let There Be Carnage. And that's really sad because Carnage is one of my favorite villains from the comics. But yeah, speaking of House of Gucci, it's not normally the kind of thing that I would really be that interested in terms of like fashion dynasties and whatever. But the fact that it has some murder mystery thing going on, and it seems like there's kind of a mob drama angle to some of the things in terms of the way that the story's being told. Not the fact that the mob is involved, but it does have some parallels to mob dramas. It might be worth a watch, and it definitely looks like a film that's going to feature some really good performances. And holy shit, is Lady Gaga an incredibly talented woman. She's a very talented singer and songwriter, and she's an equally talented actress. Like, I just, who would have saw that coming? Like, who did see that coming? Like, this might be another Oscar for her. Speaking of Oscars, I saw the trailer for King Richard with Will Smith. It's about the uh, Venus and Serena, the tennis superstar twins, uh, and I like Will Smith, and this looks like his bid to finally get recognition from the Academy. It actually looks like a pretty good performance from him, and it actually looks like a pretty inspiring and uplifting movie that might be an enjoyable, fun watch as well. It's not something that I would run to the theater and see or see automatically when it comes out on streaming, but it's something that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on and probably see one of these days because it looks like it might have something going for it. The other trailer I saw was this bizarre, weird ass artsy fartsy art house horror movie called Lamb, which seems like it's insinuating that there's a half boy, half lamb creature that's involved in some capacity. But I think that's just a nightmare scene. I don't think that's actually what's going on. It looks like a confusing as hell, pretentious horror film that fans of A24 are going to cream themselves over, but something that I'm like, huh? That's really what it looks like to me. One of those like, I don't get it. Then I saw the second trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the first word that comes to mind about this trailer is hopeful. I am hopeful when it comes to this movie because as a huge fan of Ghostbusters, I don't want this franchise to have its last film be such an embarrassment like the 2016 reboot. It deserves better than that. So that's why I'm hopeful for this. But that's not the only reason why I'm hopeful for this film, because I actually liked this trailer. I can understand why people were indifferent about it, but for me, I felt it was the right way to be nostalgic. Because it seemed like there were still some twists on things. It wasn't as lazy to me. I mean, I do like the mini Stay Puffs. Yeah, you have Stay Puft, but at least it's a different incarnation of Stay Puft. And the mini Stay Puffs reminded me of the same dark humor from the first film. And if Gozer is going to be the villain again, which is kind of a problem for me, but at the same time I'm like, what else were they gonna do? They couldn't do Shandor because Shandor was done in the video game, if I remember correctly, so they can't have him be the villain. So what were they gonna do? And maybe this is their way of making things come full circle. And I am curious to see how Gozer has evolved over the decades. Uh, I've heard some things about how the Terror Dogs will be different. There will be different versions of the Terror Dogs called the Terror Sentinels that are bipedal and stand upright. Um, and when it comes to the original Ghostbusters, it does seem like the parts of the film that are reminiscing and going back to that, it seems like it's coming from a place of love and not from a place of money and greed. Because that's where I feel it came from with the reboot. Because I don't buy for a second that Paul Feig had any genuine passion for Ghostbusters as a franchise. He did that film for the paycheck. And so as a result, you don't have that passion and that respect for the franchise. And I don't see that here with what I've seen from Jason Reitman. And I am still on the fence about the idea of kid Ghostbusters. I think that's reminded me a little bit too much of the Q5 days of the real Ghostbusters. Uh, and I am still really leery about how they're going to handle the original cast. It seems like they're doing the right thing, but until I actually see the film, I don't know if they actually are. And all of that being said, I did like a lot of the stuff in the trailer. I like the sequences where you get an idea of the fact that Egon bought this farmhouse in the middle of nowhere and stayed there, possibly with Janine, because Janine says that he wasn't much of a homemaker, which makes me kind of think that maybe she was romantically involved with Egon. Maybe they actually got together. And you have moments with the ghosts where they actually do look like they have more of an edge again to them. Like they look closer to what they look like in the original film instead of rejects from the Haunted Mansion, which is something that I am really, really appreciative of. And the bit at the end, it was perfect. It was such a great way to get you hooked and get you interested and intrigued in the film, where the kids call the Ghostbusters number and Ray answers the phone. And by the way, it's Dan Aykroyd, not Bill Murray. Any article or any comment that's saying, "Oh, Bill Murray, is that Bill Murray?" No, it's not Bill Murray. It's absolutely 100% obvious that it's not Bill Murray, because you can see the sign for Ray's Occult Books in the background, and it sounds like Dan Aykroyd. So anyone who's saying that uh, is being a little ignorant, to be perfectly honest. You need to educate yourself on Ghostbusters or the actors who play the Ghostbusters, because Bill Murray does not sound anything like Dan Aykroyd. So anyway, getting that out of the way, I like that bit where Ray answers the phone and he says we're closed. And then it doesn't show you. It doesn't give things away. It doesn't show you the original cast suited up. It doesn't show them firing their proton packs. It just gives you Ray answering the phone. And that's enough to get me honestly kind of hyped. And I know I probably shouldn't be, because I've been let down so many times. But you know what? Life is short, and I deeply, truly want this to work out as a fan of this franchise and as a fan of these characters. And I understand that it's going to be more of a passing the torch movie. But there's no possible way that these kids are going to do most of the work, because they're kids. It's not believable that a bunch of kids and Paul Rudd are going to be able to save the world from Gozer. So the original cast, Ray, Venkman, and Winston, are definitely going to be probably heavily involved in the climax. If they're not, that's a massive missed opportunity, and I'd be pretty pissed if they were only in it for like 2 or 3 scenes and the kids did much of the heavy lifting. Then it would have been just absolutely pointless. Like, why the fuck would you even have the original cast back if they're not going to be doing the bulk of the work at the end? But I liked the trailer so much it got me thinking. It got me thinking about other ideas about what they're gonna do. Like, are they gonna have the Ghostbusters uh provide instruction to the kids, which makes sense? Is there gonna be like a Ghostbusters Academy by the end of the movie, which I actually think is a good idea? That way, the original cast don't necessarily retire and just leave everything to these kids. They are still busting ghosts, but they are also training these kids plus new recruits on the ways of being a Ghostbuster. And I am also wondering how they are going to incorporate Egon into things. I think it would be honestly pretty cool if Egon's ghost was involved somewhat in terms of helping his friends stop Gozer. I think that would be really sweet and really awesome if it was done properly. But it's just one of those things where you just gotta wait and see. And I actually might pay to see that in the theater, to be honest. I'm more hyped about that than I am about Dune, which is crazy because I'm a big fan of Dune. I haven't read the book all the way through, but in terms of Dune, I'm a pretty big fan because I really do love the 1984 film by David Lynch. And all of that being said, this trailer underwhelmed me. There's so many people that are getting massively stiff over this trailer. And here I am, I'm just pretty limp about it. I'm just like, I don't see what the crazy hype is about. It looks dull. The decision to have the film washed in this gray and brown filter was a massive error in judgment. It makes the visuals look very dull and the epitome of nothing special. And that's not good when it comes to a director like Denis Villeneuve, who we know is very capable of doing some really visually impressive films. I mean, Blade Runner 2049 is a stunning film in so many ways visually. And this seems like it's selling his talent short because of the decision to use that filter. On top of that, I understand the novel Atreides, Paul is very young, but Timothy Chalamet just looks too young to me. He looks like he's a TikToker instead of like somebody who's going to lead an army. He has no screen presence, which is a serious problem. Also, on top of that, he has less screen presence than Kyle MacLachlan, who at the time of Dune had never acted before in any films. So that's not a good sign. Zendaya, to me, was a miscast. I don't understand. She's not that good of an actress. And nothing that I saw in the trailer really seemed like it was going to prove otherwise. I mean, she started out her career on the Disney Channel doing a show called Shake It Up. She's not that good of an actress. And on top of that, other than the supporting cast, like I believe it's Oscar Isaac and the it's not Marion Cotillard. It's an actress who was in the Mission Impossible sequels. She's in the film. Other than some of the supporting roles, like nothing really was that impressive to me. I mean, Jason Momoa looked like he was just playing Aquaman again. Batista, he just screamed really loudly, and he's got a pale face. He's an albino. The guy who's playing Harkonnen, like you just see him in one scene. I don't think he has any dialogue. And he looks like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. Say whatever you want about the 1984 film, but in the trailer, at least Harkonnen was memorable. At least it was a performance where you're like, man, this guy is a slime ball. There was nothing remotely memorable about the performance of Baron Harkonnen in the trailer for the new Dune. The music was fine. Some of the action looked like it might be all right, but it just looked like such a bland, dull movie. Dune more like dull. And that's not how I should feel watching a Dune trailer. To be honest, I was more interested in The Last Duel. which Ridley Scott is directing, which is going to be featuring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in a Middle Ages drama, which looks interesting. Or I was more looking forward to Jackass Forever, which looks like fun. Looks like dumb fun, just like the other Jackass films. Or Malignant, which is directed by James Wan, which is his return to the horror genre. In terms of any other trailers that I want to talk about, don't give a fuck about Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, who cares? Clifford is fucking scary. Clifford is terrifying. Like, oh my god. If you've ever seen that trailer might as well be a horror movie. Halloween Kills, speaking of horror films, it's nice that Michael Myers is a vicious uh bastard in this. Like, he's unhinged and he's had enough, and the body count's going to be insanely high. It looks like it's a film that's going to feature some good gore, but I still don't know what they're going to do with the story. And as you will find out when I do finally sit down and record my rant on the 2018 film, which I'm saving for October because at this point, why not? Uh I did not like the 2018 film. I did not like its approach to rebooting the franchise. I didn't feel it really added that much new blood into this series. So this could be a decent time waster because of the gore and hopefully a fast pace, but not much more than that, because this is a franchise that to me has ran its course. That's just how I feel about Halloween. I think it's ran its course. There's not much else for it to really do, or for it to be able to uh, bring to the screen when it comes to something unique or different. And speaking of other trailers, there's a sequel to Don't Breathe 2. I mean, a sequel to Don't Breathe 2. There's a sequel to Don't Breathe called Don't Breathe 2. And I don't have a lot of faith in that. I don't think they're going to actually nail the idea of having him be the hero. And also at the same time, I think having the blind man be the hero at this point is too late. You should have done that to begin with. Now it just seems like it doesn't really work and it seems unearned. And the other trailers I want to talk about, there's a drama. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of a brain freeze. There's a drama called Queen Pins, which is about these women who decided to steal a bunch of coupons. And I like dramas like that are based on true stories. And that actually looks like it might be fun to watch. And Sweet Girl, which is a action film that I think is going to come out on Netflix, starring Jason Momoa, that one really surprised me. I'm not big on Jason Momoa, but this looks like it might be his best performance to date. He showed a lot of range in this trailer, and I actually did buy him as an action star. This seemed like a film that would have been made in like the 90s, and I think that's great. I like a lot of 90s action movies. And then you have the really good cover of Sweet Child of Mine. It's not really a cover, it's more of a remix that also sells the film for me. It's every movie that I'm going to check out one of these days. And I never really had it on my radar until then. And one other film I want to bring up is a movie called Blood Red Sky. I think it came out recently on Netflix, and I do want to give it a watch because it's an interesting take on a vampire film where it takes place on an airplane and you have this vampire mother who is all of a sudden put into a scenario where she has to deal with terrorists and save her daughter because she's there with her daughter and these terrorists take over the plane, and now she has to take care of business and take out these terrorists to save her daughter and the other people on the plane. Different take on things. I can't really think of a vampire film that really has that element to it. and looks like it's going to be well shot, well acted. So, yeah, it looks like an interesting, potentially solid film. So that's my thoughts on the trailers. Now we get to the Blu-rays. I'm gonna run through these really quick because I know this video is already clocking at 40 something minutes. So, Scream Factory announced that they're going to be releasing Alone in the Dark finally, the 80s gem. I believe, I don't know if I pre-ordered it already. I don't think I did, but it's something that I definitely would like to get. And it's really awesome to see that get an official release. And then they also announced 4K Blu-rays of Halloween films, specifically Halloween 1 through 5. And to me, that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, I have the Halloween 3 Steelbook, which has the 4K remaster, and it looks really good. I wouldn't mind having the 4K of Halloween 3. Out of all of the 4Ks, it's really the second and third film that I wouldn't mind having because I don't have the second film's remaster because I don't have the Steelbook. So that'd be nice to have in 4K because it's also one of my favorite Halloween sequels. And I would love to have Halloween 3 because that's honestly my I don't is it my favorite Halloween film? I think it actually is my favorite Halloween film in the series. And I really like that movie. So wouldn't mind having that in 4K. But the first film, I'm fine with the Lionsgate release that I have. And the fourth movie, unless it's sent to me as a gift, I'm okay with the Blu-ray that's a part of my collection. And fuck Halloween 5. I don't want that in 4K. I'm not going to shell out 37 bucks or $28 for 4K of Halloween 5. And they also announced Elvira's Haunted Hills. I don't care because Elvira's Haunted Hills sucks. I like the first Elvira movie, but Elvira's Haunted Hills is just a really lame movie to me. It's a lame tribute or parody of a uh, Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe movie. And Elvira is fun in it, but she can only do so much. And I just remember it being pretty lame and forgettable, so I don't give a crap about that Blu-ray. But then we got some upcoming releases. Universal is doing a new 4K box set of the Universal Monsters movies. So you're going to have, I think, Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein. Is it the Invisible Man and the Mummy? I think that's what it is. It doesn't include Creature. Um, I wouldn't mind adding that to my collection one of these days, but only for the right price because I have the DVD box set and I'm honestly pretty much okay with that for right now. Seems like, yeah, Scorpion releasing and Kino Lorber, they're releasing the Fritz the Cat movies on Blu-ray later this year. Always been curious about those ones, but I've never actually seen them. Paramount's going to be releasing a new 4K release of The Addams Family. They call it the More Mamushka edition, which is corny as hell, and it would really piss me off if they don't really add. Excuse me, sorry. See, I got a little indigestion just thinking about Paramount being a pair of pricks and going through all this trouble to release the film in 4K and not have any features on it made me burp. So, yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I would not be surprised considering it's pair of pricks. Scream is getting a new 4K release, maybe for the collection one of these days, but I'm okay with my Blu-rays for right now. Uh, The Thing, the 1982 classic, that's getting a 4K release. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, it looks like Dementia 13 is going to be the next Vestron Video Collector Series release. Something that I don't really have any compassion about. Renegades, a pretty overlooked action film featuring Kiefer Sutherland and Lou Diamond Phillips. That's going to be getting a Blu-ray from Mill Creek later this year, along with a film called Casual Sex. Yeah, by the way, the Classic Monsters 4K set does not include the Mummy. It just includes Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, and the Wolfman. So I was incorrect on that. Uh, the Dogs of War with Christopher Walken, that's going to be getting a re-release on Blu-ray from Ronin Flicks later this year. Carlito's Way, a really excellent drama featuring Al Pacino and Sean Penn. That's finally getting a 4K disc in October. Definitely want to pick that up. I might actually get the Steelbook because I actually really like the artwork on it. Although the original 4K probably would have the original artwork, and I'm a pretty big fan of that, and it probably would be cheaper. The film Without Warning, that's been out of print on Blu-ray for a while, it's getting a new release from Kino Lorber. It's going to have a new 2K remaster. So if you weren't able to get the Blu-ray from Screen Factory, Kino's doing another release. Session 9, the haunted house horror film, it's getting a new collector's edition from Second Sight sometime in the near future. Speaking of Second Sight, they did provide a little bit of an update on their release of Martin. Seems like it's going to be coming out sometime next year because they're having some delays. A Clockwork Orange is going to be getting a 4K release from Warner Brothers pretty soon. Scrolling down here. Oh yeah, What Lies Beneath is finally going to be getting a Blu-ray release from, I believe it's Paramount. I think they're the ones releasing it. Yeah, Paramount. It hasn't been on Blu-ray for a long time, so now it's finally getting a Blu-ray release, which is cool because I think that's a pretty good thriller that's not talked about enough. And The Hunt for Red October is getting another 4K release with their shitty teal Blu-ray art. I don't understand why they're doing that, but whatever. It's not a new transfer by any means. It's the same one that was on the Steelbook. That was an exclusive for Best Buy. Highlander is going to be getting a 4K release sometime, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. The Relic is getting a re-release from Paramount, which is really nice for people who haven't had the opportunity to get a copy for the right price because it's been out of print for a long time and the prices have been a little high. I know there was talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 4Ks from Scream Factory, but that was just a rumor and there was nothing really backing it, and Scream Factory has recently denied it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not happening or that it's not a potential thing to occur in the future, because why would they confirm the release? They're not going to do that. That being said, I think it's just a rumor. Knowing Warner Brothers, I highly doubt that they allowed Scream Factory to do that. But if they did, I'm all over it. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'd be buying that box set and not looking back. That would be easily my most anticipated release of this year if they were able to do that. Silence of the Lambs is getting a 4K release from Kino Lorber. I'm fine with my Criterion Blu-ray. Dr. Caligari, a cult film in the purest form with a capital C. That's getting a Blu-ray release finally from Mondo Macabro, which is going to be pretty cool. I'll definitely pick that up sometime because that movie is just so bizarre and out there. Crocodile Dundee is going to get a trilogy Blu-ray. No new features or anything, which sucks, but it is going to include the third film on Blu-ray finally if you want to get that on Blu-ray. It's a good thing to get if you didn't get the double feature that had the first two. So that way you get all three of them all in one go. And to round things off, Kolchak the Night Stalker. I know I mentioned this at one point, but Kolchak the Night Stalker is getting a 4K. Well, it's not a 4K. It does feature some new remasters, 2K remasters. It's getting a Blu-ray release from Kino Lorber, I think in October. and not a ton of new features, which is understandable because a lot of people involved with the show are no longer around. I'm surprised they don't have Chris Carter involved in some capacity since he's such a big fan of the show, but it is what it is. But there are some audio commentaries with different writers and different people who are fans of the show. It has an interview with David Chase, the creator of The Sopranos and a co-writer of some episodes. Has an interview with Dana Gould, who's a fan. Has a booklet, a bunch of new audio commentaries with different people, and TV spots. But really, the main selling point is absolutely going to be the new masters. That being said, the original DVD from Universal still has some good-looking transfers. It's not like they're piss poor by any means. But still looking forward to that. Looking forward to the upgrade because I'm a pretty big fan of that show. But yeah, I don't really know what else. I mean, Kino Lorber is doing Misery in 4K. They are doing Hard Target, which is going to be pretty fucking awesome. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, Breakdown. Breakdown is getting a Blu-ray from Paramount Presents, and it's not porting over all the features from the overseas release from Australia, from Imprint, but it does have some new features. I think Kurt Russell is involved in audio commentary, I believe. And it has a new remaster. I don't like the fact that they're not using the original poster, but I can deal with it. I pre-ordered it already because I'm a big fan of Breakdown. So I will definitely look forward to breaking down that release when I get it. But anyway, don't really have much else to say except thanks for watching. I know it's been almost an hour. That's what happens when you haven't done one of these in a long time. I hope you enjoyed the video though. And next up in terms of reviews, I got the Blair Witch Project. That's going to be the next review, as well as another kind of, not really found footage, but kind of found footage movie from Japan called Occult. And then I'll be getting around to some more requests like Wait Until Dark and the Nolan Batman trilogy and Boys in the Hood and the commentary on the remake of RoboCop, which I will refuse to even call RoboCop. It's RoboCock. And a trailer reaction and stuff like that. So there's some stuff that I have planned going forward, as well as a little mini marathon of Corey Haim movies. But that's really what I got on deck. And anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you later.